The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. The President visits the village for Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. He instructs officials not to obstruct traditional livelihood of villagers. People leaving the Western Province limits will be referred to random rapid antigen test starting from today. A mediation board will be set up in each district to solve lands and financial disputes. Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathero has been named from the national list parliament seat of Ape Janabala Party. On foreign news, Sydney residents urged to stay home amid new COVID outbreak. In sports news, it's tennis. Australian Open pushed back 3 weeks into February. Local stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at Imbulpe Ravanakanda village in Balangoda today to attend the Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. The President instructed officials to immediately develop entry roads to several villages. The President instructed police, forest and wildlife officials to allow villagers to continue kittul tapping without obstacles. The President ordered to stop arbitrarily filing court cases against those who enter land belonging to Forest Conservation and Wildlife Department. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa paid his attention on building a tea processing centre for the tea planters in the area. He instructed politicians in the areas to take measures to prevent delays when transporting tea leaves. The President informed ministry officials to solve land problems of the people in the area. It was decided to provide speedy solutions for teacher shortage in schools and to develop infrastructure. He instructed to find solutions to Tamil language teachers. A decision was taken up to set up a vocational training centre for the youth in the area. The President instructed to expedite development of infrastructure at several rural hospitals, including Pinnavala and Manatunga Kanda. The Urban Development Authority was entrusted with the responsibility of preparing a suitable program on Bankyavatta Garbage Disposal Centre without harming the health of the public. The local government authority was given the responsibility of allocating a suitable land for a cemetery, which has been a long-term need of the Imbulpe Divisional Secretariat area. It was the third Grama Samaga Pilisandara program attended by President Rajapaksa. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says people leaving the Western Province limits will be referred to random rapid antigen test starting from today. He said the random rapid antigen test will accordingly be carried out at 3 locations. As the festive season is nearing, the authorities have urged the members of the public to restrict moving out of the Western Province in order to prevent further spread of the novel coronavirus. It has been decided to set up a mediation board at each district to solve land and financial disputes. The mediation boards will commence their work on the 9th of next month, which has been suspended temporarily due to the pandemic. The decision has been taken following a discussion today between Justice Minister Ali Sabri and members of the Mediation Board's Commission. The Mediation Board on Financial Disputes will be established first in Colombo, Gampaha, Kurunegala, Kandy and Anuradhapura district. The mediation boards will be set up in other districts thereafter. Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathero has been named for the national list seat in Parliament of Ape Janabala Party. Chairman of the Elections Commission, Nimal Punchiheva, told SLBC that the gazette in this connection will be issued this evening. Meanwhile, Acting General Secretary of the United National Party, Shamal Senarath, said that no one has been named for the national list seat of the UNP so far. He said that the final decision in this regard will be taken next month. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
Continuing with the local stories, Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, leading the Sri Lanka delegation, thanked all member states for placing their confidence in Sri Lanka when its application for the position of Vice Chair was endorsed at the 20th Council of Ministers meeting of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, virtually hosted by the UAE. The Foreign Ministry said Sri Lanka is expected to take over the chair for the year 2023 to 2025. The meeting was preceded by the 22nd session of the Committee of Senior Officials on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Sri Lanka delegation was led by Foreign Secretary Admiral Professor Jayanath Kolambage. Addressing the member states, Foreign Minister informed that Sri Lanka strongly believes that only a safe, secure and peaceful Indian Ocean can bring about economic prosperity, and that this notion emanates from Sri Lanka's commitment to promote the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace. He added that only continuous commitment and collaborative efforts of all member states and dialogue partners could only help achieve and uphold this UN resolution. Deputy Director General of Public Health Services of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Hemantha Herath, says that 14,272 PCR tests have been conducted during the last 24 hours. During a media briefing in Colombo today, he said that the tests have been conducted at 27 laboratories. The Supreme Court has decided to call for clarifications on the contempt of court case against MP Ranjan Ramanayake on 12th January next year. The case was taken up today before a judge bench comprising Justices Vijit Malalgoda, Murdu Fernando and S. Thurairaja under a motion filed by the Attorney General. The case was filed against former State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake over contempt of court charges for making defamatory remarks against the judiciary on the 21st of August in 2017. The Department of Motor Traffic has decided to transfer nearly 600 of its employees with immediate effect. Commissioner General of the department, Sumit Alhakon, said the transfers are being carried out under several stages. The transfers are expected to be effective from the 1st of January next year. Special religious services were held today to bless the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and its employees. These special services were organized to mark the 95th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Catholic service was held at St. Mary's Church, Dehiwala this evening. Reverend Father Daya Valikadarachi conducted the prayer service. An Islam religious program organized in connection with the 95th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation was held at Juma Mosque in Colombo 3 this afternoon. Amhar Hakamdeen Mulawi said that Muslim service of SLBC is not limited to the Muslim community. Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, Jagat P. Vijayveera, who was present on the occasion, recalled the services rendered by the Muslim service to build religious amity. Chairman of the SLBC, Jagat Wickramasinghe, said that the SLBC is performing the duty of communicating cultural and religious values of all Sri Lankans. Director General Chandrapala Liyanage pointed out communities belonging to all religions and races in Sri Lanka. The Ratana Sutra chanting organized by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation takes place this evening from Burlesgamu Vapika Rama Temple. The Ratana Sutra chanting will be held under the guidance of the chief monk of the temple, Venerable Patberiye Vimalanyana Thero. It will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. over SLBC Sinhala Commercial Service, City FM and regional services. To end the local news, the headlines again. The President visits the village for Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. He instructs officials not to obstruct traditional livelihood of villagers. People leaving the Western Province limits will be referred to random rapid antigen test starting from today. A mediation board will be set up in each district to solve land and financial disputes. Venerable Athuraliye Ratanathero has been named for the National List Parliament seat of Ape Janabala Party. That ends the local news.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
On the main news story, the Ministry of Health says that 708 COVID-19 patients have recovered and discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 27,061. Meanwhile, 650 persons have tested positive for the virus within the last 24 hours. The tally of coronavirus cases reported in the country thus far is 35,387, while 8,166 of them are under medical care. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watch Light. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says water supply for several areas in Colombo will be suspended from 9 a.m. tomorrow until 3 a.m. on Sunday. Colombo 1, 2, 10 and 12 areas are expected to be affected by the 18-hour water cut. Water supply for Colombo 3, 4, 7, 8 and 9 areas will be under low pressure during this period. The Water Board said it is being imposed due to restoration of a main transmission pipeline. That ends Watch Light. We move on to world news. The headlines. Sydney residents urged to stay home amid new COVID outbreak. Snow traps 1,000 drivers in frozen traffic jam in Japan. Fiji says 2 dead as powerful cyclone tears across Pacific nation. Hundreds of thousands of Sydney residents have been told to stay home after a new outbreak of coronavirus ended a 2-week run of no local cases. Australian officials are scrambling to trace the source of the infection after finding 28 cases across the city's Northern Beaches region. The New South Wales government has urged all locals to wear masks in public areas and to be on high alert. Residents now face curbs on travel to the country's other states. Rescuers are trying to free more than 1,000 vehicles which have been stranded on a highway for 2 days after a heavy snowstorm struck Japan. Authorities have distributed food, fuel and blankets to the drivers on the Kanatsu Expressway, which connects the capital Tokyo to Nagata in the north. The snow, which began on Wednesday evening, has caused multiple traffic jams along the road. It has also left more than 10,000 homes in the north and west without power. Authorities said today a powerful cyclone pounded Fiji, killing 2 people, including a 3-month-old baby, and leaving a trail of destruction across the Pacific island nation. Cyclone Yasa, a top Category 5 storm, made landfall over Bua province in the northern island of Vanua-Levu last evening, bringing torrential rain, widespread flooding and winds of up to 285 kilometers per hour across the archipelago. To end the world news, the headlines again. Sydney residents urged to stay home amid new COVID outbreak. Snow traps 1,000 drivers in frozen traffic jam in Japan. Fiji says 2 dead as powerful cyclone tears across Pacific nation. That ends world news. On to development news. People's Bank recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Industrial Development Board and Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing to develop micro, small and medium enterprises in Sri Lanka. This is an extension of People's Bank's Memorandum of Understanding with IDB to promote local industries and brands, which was implemented under the Made in Sri Lanka Loans Programme. That ends development news. On to sports news. It's tennis. The 2021 Australian Open will be pushed back 3 weeks due to COVID-19 precautions, with the first Grand Slam event of the calendar year now set to be contested in February. An updated ATP Tour calendar has the Melbourne event now starting 8th February as a part of a revision to the first 7 weeks of the schedule. On football, Manchester City defender Lucy Bronze has won Best Women's Player at FIFA's 2020 awards. The 29-year-old defender is the first English player to win a Best FIFA Football Awards prize. Bronze beat Denmark's Pernille Harder and France's Wendy Renard to claim the award at a virtual ceremony in Zurich. In Olympics, Russia's ban from all major sporting events after a doping scandal has been cut to 2 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The ban still prevents Russia from competing in the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics set to be held next year and football's 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Russia was initially given a 4-year ban by the World Anti-Doping Agency. And finally on cricket, today is the second day of the first test of the India Tour of Australia in Adelaide. India scored 244 in their first innings. Australia scored 191 in their first innings. India was 9 for 1 wicket in their second innings at close of play today. That ends sports news. We take a look at business news. SDB Bank's just concluded rights issue managed to raise a 1.5 billion rupees. Apart from the bank creating capital market history by becoming the first Colombo Stock Exchange listed entity to successfully host and complete a rights issue digitally, the event was officially recognized as the first local digital share subscription to be oversubscribed. In early November, the bank informed their shareholders of the decision to facilitate the application of their rights entitlement plus additional shares entirely digitally. That ends business news.
Economic news, courtesy of
Just move on real time, save more, LOLC real time. Paying the premium for transactions, simply save now real time. Day night, no trouble for your transactions. LOLC real time. Download LOLC Finance real time app for your LOLC savings account. Attractive interest rates, transactions anytime, anywhere with a zero cost and more benefits.
And on economic news, European shares were mixed early today, capping the last full trading week of the year with investors still on edge over a Brexit trade deal and US stimulus package. Shares in London inched up, lifted by a weaker dollar. Frankfurt barely gained and Paris slipped. A more pessimistic tone to Britain's protracted talks with the European Union weakened the pound, with only days remaining before the UK leaves the bloc's single market on 31st December. That ends economic news.
Hello, Puta, did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says northeast monsoon conditions are gradually getting established over the island. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in northern, eastern, north central and Uva provinces and in Matale district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in Hambantota district. Fairly heavy falls above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in Eastern Province and in Matale and Polonnaruwa districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places. Heavy falls about 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in Sabaragamu Province and in Kaluthara, Gaul and Matara districts. Fairly strong gusty winds of about 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in northern, north central and northwestern provinces. That ends the weather report. To conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The President visits the village for Gama Samaga Pilisandra program. He instructs officials not to obstruct traditional livelihood of villagers. People leaving the Western Province limits will be referred to random rapid antigen test starting from today. A mediation board will be set up in each district to solve land and financial disputes. Venerable Athuraliye Ratanathero has been named for the National List Parliament seat of Ape Janabala Party. On foreign news, Sydney residents urged to stay home amid new COVID outbreak. And in sports, Australian Open pushed back 3 weeks into February. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.